Attention everybody, the views and opinions expressed on the show are not necessarily those of Acts Ministry, Acts Media Group, and or their affiliate and supported ministries and or nonprofits. So, back this week, by popular demand, it's the man with the plan to put gold in your hand, Tony Hammock.
Thanks, Matt. Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you're having a wonderful Wednesday out there in Acts Media Land. It's a little overcast here in Springfield, but I think it's still going to be a fantastic day. So we're excited to get the show going here and get started and everything. As the norm, it seems like anymore, there's just been so much that's happened in the last week. I don't even know where to hardly start. Gold and silver have had some activity, the market, of course, the politics and the economy. And I mean, it's just, if you're bored, just wait about 15 seconds and something will change. But anyway, today's show, I think what we'll do is we'll kind of get through some of the housekeeping. I got a couple of new things I want to bring into the show towards the second hour, or the I should say the second half hour. And no, we're not going 2 hours right now. It's still an hour show. But anyway, let's start with the devotional. And the devotional is kind of an interesting story. For those of you that tune in every week, you kind of know how I found this one. The name of the overall course, the macro course, is called Gold. And what was funny was, a couple weeks back, I was looking for a new course. And, you know, I'm always looking for stewardship and things like that seem to be a nice theme for our program, which is all about alternative assets and stewardship and so forth. And for some reason that morning, I thought, you know, I'm going to plug in gold. And if gold didn't work, I was going to plug in silver. And I plugged in gold, and bam, I mean, a couple of popped up, and the very first one was called gold. And I thought, well, that's interesting. Well, make a long story short, turns out it was about the gold we find in, you know, people. I mean, as far as like how some people are just, you know, fantastic and I don't know, for some reason it just kind of hit that I liked it, you know, and so it's not necessarily excuse me, about metals, but it is about some things that we should be talking about on this show. So anyway, today's devotional is called Love God, Love People, Love Yourself. How you see yourself has a profound impact on your life and how you live it. Ultimately, your self-image doesn't just affect you. How you see yourself affects how you see others. More importantly, how you love yourself has a direct impact on your ability to love others. In Luke 10:27, when asked what the most important commandment is, Jesus responds, "You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your strength, and all your mind." It is one of Jesus' most well-known statements in all of Scripture. Then he adds, "And love your neighbor as yourself." I find this second part fascinating. In the church, it is very popular to distill these two clear commands, known as the Great Commandment and the Great Commission, into one phrase: love God and love people. However, in our desire to simplify Jesus' command to make it easier to understand and apply to our lives, we have lost a vital part of the picture. We have truncated Jesus' words and eliminated "as yourself." Jesus points out that you need to love others as yourself. What happens then if, in fact, we love ourselves deficiently? The truth is, in order to love others well, we first need to learn to love ourselves. We can only truly love others from a place of personal wholeness. So often we neglect ourselves, or at best have a dysfunctional self-image, and don't realize that we are sabotaging our best efforts to love others. If we don't really love ourselves, loving others isn't just hard, it's impossible. Everyone is searching to find a sense of inner peace, but that peace can only be found in one place. It is critical that we learn to nurture an inward thankfulness and gratefulness for God's grace. The issue of our self-identity and security can only be settled in God's love for us, which knows no bounds and no restrictions. We will know who we really are when we are fully rooted, grounded, and established in Him and His love for us. Recognizing the goal that we carry as individuals is where we must start. Unless we attribute the same value to ourselves as God does, unless we learn how to be less critical of ourselves and more loving, until we become less frustrated with ourselves and more patient, we will never be able to go out and do the same for others. So, that is today's devotional as this particular course goes. That was lesson 4, and we've got a few more after this. Let me see, what do we got? We got 9 in total, so we'll be doing, I guess, 5 more weeks, and hopefully you like this particular one. I in particular like that lesson, and I'll tell you why. I like it because, like, even in my own life or the life of my children, you know, I've had times, or I've seen them have times where maybe their self-image isn't where it should be, and so obviously Lorna and I, you know, we do what we can to, you know, help everybody feel good about themselves and so forth. And I know in my case, there's been a couple times where maybe I wasn't, you know, the proudest I could be of my accomplishments and stuff. And I can tell you, it does have an impact on how I relate to others and stuff. So, like in my case, once I filled that hole, that void with Jesus Christ, everything kind of fell in place. And so I just found that it was, you know, kind of a turning point for me. And ever since, it's been a lot easier to, you know, be accepting of things that go on, the COVID-19 and the economy, and I'm able to, you know, love my family and my children and my wife, and maybe not in that order, my wife, I don't know. I tried to have Lorna on this morning for a couple of reasons, and her schedule just wouldn't allow it. She's so darn busy. I got to tell you, you know, a lot of people think that the COVID-19 pandemic has been brutal as far as employment, and for some people it has. Unfortunately, we have been busier than you can believe. I mean, and part of it is we're able to do so much of what we do over the phone, and so so for example, if you needed a auto or home insurance quote, you can always reach her at 417-225-2011, and you know, for the other things that I do with the metals and the insurance and stuff, you can always reach me at 417-755-0700. But anyway, let's move on. There's some other things going on out there that are kind of fun and exciting. As we speak, a 1-ounce gold eagle would cost $2,046.03, and a 1-ounce silver eagle is $33.65. So not bad. A lot different than it was this time last year. In fact, a lot different than it was when the year started. We've had a very interesting year for metals, and I'll use that as a segue into how metals are doing, because that is a big part of our show. Let me find my little cheat sheet, so to speak. Let's start off with Bitcoin, not necessarily a metal, more of a crypto, but still a lot of people see that coin in all the ads and the articles and stuff, and so they get the feeling that we keep talking, we're going to have a Bitcoin show, and I think we're getting closer to that, just because, excuse me, of late I've been reading a lot of articles about the upcoming potential of Bitcoin. There's some exciting things going on there, and not with just Bitcoin, but with cryptos in general. Anyway, the current price for Bitcoin is $11,348.67. For the week, it's down about 0.5%. For the month, it's up 2.5%, and for the year, it's up 9.35%. So, you know, rather modest by Bitcoin standards, but still 9.35 for the year is by some people's standards pretty darn good. And if you look at the total return from Bitcoin, if you could have been in all those years ago when they first came out, you'd be up 10,762.88%. So not a bad return. And I'm trying to, the only reason I'm stalling here is I'm trying to remember when it first came out. I want to say it was someplace around 2011. I should know that, but I got distracted. If you couldn't tell, there was a call that tried to get through there, and I apologize. Anyway, so that's Bitcoin. Let's go over to the precious metals. Now, when we give these prices, these are by the ounce. And as of 9:09, gold was at $1,949.80. Silver was at $27.53. Platinum was $913. Palladium was $2,279. And rhodium was $12,200. It's actually up 200, but it's at $12,200. And both gold and silver are off a little bit today. Gold's off $21 and silver's off 65 cents. So if you've been thinking about it, there's a sale going on. Might be a good time to add some to your portfolio. The base metals are next, and these prices are by the pound. And copper is $3.04. Nickel is $7.10. Aluminum is 79 cents. Zinc is $1.15. Lead is 88 cents, and uranium is $30.65 a pound. So, and when Asa was joining us, you know how we used to tease Asa that was his favorite and stuff. So, you know, we're constantly tracking that. For the morning so far, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 183 points. It's at 28,828. So, you know, it just constantly seems like it finds new wind, new breath for this ongoing bull market. I mean, there's just a lot of speculation out there as far as what's going to happen and so forth. And what we think is maybe the best way to do that is to, you know, diversify. So if you don't have a position in gold and silver and use that as wealth insurance, you might consider adding both or one to your portfolio. There's all kinds of studies and statistics I can share with you as far as by adding, you know, 10% of metals to your portfolio, how it can increase the return and reduce the risk. So if you're interested in those kinds of studies, give me a shout, 417-225-2011. And we're not talking ETFs or anything paper or certificate related. We're talking about physical gold and physical silver that you could take possession of and have in your own safe or under your mattress or, you know, wherever you keep your valuables and stuff, because that's probably the best way to own gold and silver, in our opinions. So that is an update on the prices. Let's get into, what else did I see there? My favorite author, Egon von Greyerz, has a couple of new articles out. And anytime you want to check in on these, you can always go to the Gold Affiliate on Facebook. That's the page I've got. It's at the Gold Affiliate. And I post a lot of these on there so you can kind of catch up with some of these different authors and what they think's going on with the market and the different potentials and things like that. And so that's one way we can do that. As far as other things that are going on, I know that let me just see here. Let's go to my coin I brought with me. I forgot to do this last week. I got done, and this was the one thing I didn't do, and I was kind of kicking myself because, you know, I get these on a monthly basis and stuff. So what this is I've got several sources for gold and silver, and one of them is a company called 7K Metals. They're out of Idaho Falls, Idaho. They've got a really, what I think is a neat program with a lot of different ways you can acquire silver and gold. One way in particular is you can be on an auto ship program where you get a Silver Eagle every month. And this had been my most recent one. As you can see, it's encased in a plastic, hermetically sealed container. This is part of the 50 States series, and this particular one is for New Mexico. So you see a little hot air balloon up there in the corner. And I think these are so neat. I mean, one, the American Eagle series, was started back in 1986 by, I believe it was Ronald Reagan, and it's just been a real success, both silver eagles and gold eagles. One story we like to talk about is don't do the $1.2 million mistake. And people are like, 1.2 million, well, how could I make a mistake that big and stuff? But what we've done is we've gone back and we've looked at, because not everybody can afford, one of these a day or, even one a week, but maybe one a month. So we've literally done this study, and we've looked at if you could have, from the very inception of this program, added one Silver Eagle a month to your portfolio. Right now you'd have, as of yesterday, September 1st, you'd have like 416 of them. And probably your total expense, adding all those together as far as what you'd have to pay to get them and over the years and so forth, you'd probably have about $43,000 invested. And if you looked at what they're worth, you'd have over 1.2 million. In fact, at this point, I'm thinking it's getting closer to 1.3 million. I haven't ran the calculation here lately and stuff like that, but I know that sounds hard to believe. $43,000 in and 1.2 million in total value, and that is just an amazing return. And it's something that you've got in your possession. So if you needed it, I guess you could use one of these. It'd be a shame to, have to go in and, actually use it to purchase something. But, possibly you could, trade it in for dollars or something, and get the true value. Because these things aren't cheap. Remember at the beginning of the show, I mentioned a Silver Eagle right now is going for about $34,000. If you bought a new one today, you would, let's see here, $33.61 for a 1-ounce Silver Eagle. So obviously you wouldn't want to go someplace and use this as a dollar. Now the reason why the 1.2 million is so amazing is that not every year has the same kind of appreciation. So, for example, when you look at it, 2006, those coins are all worth over $6,000. And, so what, 6 times 12, that's 72,000 of that's just from 1996, I guess. Maybe I said 2006. I meant 1996. And then the 1999 ones, for whatever reason, are over $19,000 a piece. So think about that. If you had 12 of those 1999 Silver Eagles, and they were, in this kind of condition, which is MS70, that stands for Mint State 70 is the highest it can be because it's perfect. You'd have, $228,000 represented by those 12 coins, and that's 228,000 of the 1.2 million. So not a bad year. And now there's other years where the coins are only, at this point, 150 each. A brand new one's worth, $33. So, not knowing exactly which year or which months will go up the most, that's why we use a systematic approach and just get one a month. And there's a lot of folks out there that think that because of the way 2020's going, with everything that's gone on this year, that the 2020s might be one of those years that have some significant value as we move on to 2021 and further. So I know that myself, my family, and a lot of my folks that I know are in 7K or they have access to Silver Eagles through other sources have been kind of, trying to load up on them and stuff as much as we can because of what's going on out there. Now, just a quick reminder, Every time I get one of those coins, I also get a travel savings card. And the travel savings card's worth $125. And if I don't register it in the 7K Getaway website, it's good forever. I mean, as long as I don't register it. Now, if I register it with this number on the back, those points will be good for 18 months. So I'm always kind of cautious unless we've got something coming up. We've now used 7K Getaway with these points 3 times, and all 3 times we've saved a bundle. One was up at Lake of the Ozarks, and 2 have been in Tulsa. And that's because Asa goes to, you remember Asa, the 19-year-old that was here for 3 months this summer? Well, he goes to school there at University of Tulsa, and when we go see him, we sometimes try to cash in some points and get a better hotel room and so forth. With the coin, you get, since it's the 50-state version, you get a little card kind of giving you the highlights of what's going on. This particular one, and there's little bitty tiny things from time to time that I never knew, but New Mexico is one of the youngest states in the Union and known for its desert landscapes, but offers much more than that. From snow-capped mountains to sand dunes to wildflower prairies and jungle-like riparian. Forests towering with cottonwoods. The natural beauty is endless. New Mexico also boasts the highest capital city in the country. Didn't know that. The most PhDs per capita. It's the birthplace of Smokey the Bear and hosts the largest hot air balloon festival. So I did not know that Smokey the Bear was from New Mexico, but that's the neat thing about it. I learn something new every day. So anyway, and then you get a little, newsletter sort of thing as far as updates that are going on. Different coins that are in there that you can go in and buy that aren't, necessarily part of the Silver Eagle program. Here's a couple that are more artistic than anything else. The iconic Superman from 2015, the Quilling Art Bird, Dragon Coin Bar, Mount Rushmore, Buell Spoon, Gold and Silver, and on and on. So this has been a really neat thing that we've added to what we do. And, probably the funnest part of this, I think, is back in June, they started this Sound Money wallet. And the Sound Money wallet is a way that you can buy gold and silver, and you don't necessarily have to take possession. You can keep it in the wallet. But the nice thing about it is once you've got it set up where you can get money into the wallet, and you can do it one of 5 ways. You can show up in Idaho Falls with cash and deposit it that way, up to $9,999, or you can send them a check or a money order. You can wire funds, either domestic or international, and then you can also set up an ACH, where that means that your checking or savings account is linked, and then you can just move dollars over when you can afford it and stuff. But once those dollars are in the wallet, in a matter of seconds, you can go in and buy gold or silver or both. And I have a number of people that have joined just for that particular reason. And for those of you that haven't tuned in before, 7K is kind of a buyer's club. It's kind of a Sam's or a Costco type of concept, or maybe after yesterday, a Walmart Plus. Walmart came out with their new program. They say it's not to compete with Amazon, but it sure looks like Amazon Prime to me. But anyway, that's what the Buyer's Club for 7K works, is you pay a membership fee, a nominal fee, and then you're in and you can buy gold and silver at dealer direct pricing. So, and part of that is this Sound Money wallet. And anytime you want your money, you can get it back quickly. But the most important part of it is while it's in there, it's insured, and you can take advantage of the ability to buy gold and silver at a moment's notice, and or get out of gold and silver and go back to cash. So very, very convenient. If you've bought any gold or silver over the years, and especially when you've tried to get out of gold and silver, you know how cumbersome that can be, especially if you have to send it someplace for them to audit it or appraise it. and then get back to you, and then eventually send you a check and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of time consuming and whatnot. But anyway, that's where we're at as far as the $1.2 million mistake, and that was my coin of the month last month. I'll probably be getting a new coin here shortly for September, and I'm kind of excited about that. I know that hopefully we're still on that 50 states thing. Anyway, one of the new things I thought I'd bring to the program is just kind of an update of some of the things that are going on. And since we're talking about money all the time and all this kind of stuff, it looks like the Labor Department, which earlier denied a request to hold a hearing about its proposed fiduciary rule designed to align with the SEC's regulation, Best Interest has reversed course and is planning to hold a hearing on September 3rd, which would be tomorrow. The Federal Reserve announced a new policy framework that puts more emphasis on achieving stable prices and maximum employment, and less emphasis on keeping inflation very low. You know, Jay Powell last week had that report he made from Jackson Hole, and there's been a lot of talk about that since he made it, which is now he's going to try and keep the, let me do air quotes, average inflation rate around 2% as compared to just keeping it at 2%. So if you read into that, what that's saying is there's going to be times where he's going to allow inflation to get higher than 2% to, you know, spark some activity in this economy and so forth. So, but the average should stay there. Let me see. The Department of Education announced that it is extending the current moratorium on federal student loan payments from September 30th, 2020 to December 31st, 2020. Borrowers are not assessed any interest during this moratorium, but can elect to make payments if they choose to. And then here's a good one for you. Don't walk, but run. The IRS has issued guidance for businesses that choose to defer deducting Social Security payroll taxes from the checks of employees who earn less than $4,000 during a biweekly payroll period. The option begins on September 1st and runs through December 31st. The deferred taxes must be repaid next year prior to May 1st. Employers are told they can choose to collect the deferred taxes from employees or repay them themselves. And of course, you know, you wonder how many employers will elect that option. Anyway, that is an option for employers to take advantage of. Let me see. Down the drain, according to the Social Security actuary, if the payroll tax is eliminated as proposed by President Donald Trump, the Disability Insurance Trust Fund would be depleted about the middle of 2021. And the Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund will be depleted by the middle of 2023. No benefits could be paid after that time. So keep your eyes on that one. Dow Jones Industrial Average, a shakeup is coming to the Dow Jones. Exxon joined the Dow in 1928, later became ExxonMobil, and come September 31st, it's gone from the DJI. Dow Jones Industrial Average. Also gone are Pfizer and Raytheon Technologies. They're being replaced by Salesforce.com, Amgen, and Honeywell internationally. So if you're not familiar with that, over the years, they're constantly eliminating some companies that no longer you know, seem relevant, I guess is one way to put it, and then they're adding new ones. So in this case, you'll see Mobile, Pfizer, and Raytheon leave, but then you'll see Salesforce, Amgen, and Honeywell start as of September 31st. Let me see. A new 0.5% fee is set to be imposed by the FHA on mortgage refinances beginning September 1st. And that's been, let me see, a new 0.5% fee to be imposed by the FHA on mortgage refinances beginning December has been postponed to December 1st. The new fee was criticized by banks, consumer groups, and members of Congress. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are also extending the moratorium on foreclosure on home mortgages at least to the end of 2020. And this month, September, is Life Insurance Awareness Month. And Brooke Shields is back as the spokesperson, so you'll probably see a lot of ads and mailers and social media things from all kinds of insurance agents and insurance companies about life insurance awareness month. And then the SEC has changed the definition of accredited investor. They've expanded the definition beyond existing test for income or net worth to include professional knowledge, experience, or certifications, and that's getting mixed reviews. And let me see here. Department of Labor has issued an interim final rule concerning mandated lifetime income statements intended to help workers understand how their defined contribution savings may translate into lifetime monthly payments, which is big. I mean, when you think about it, when you're doing a defined contribution plan, basically that's a 401k or a simple or a SEP or something like that. The whole reason you're doing it is probably somewhere in the future you can create income. Let me see. The Trump campaign is not planning on unveiling a new policy platform. Instead, they have bulleted list on healthcare. A second Trump administration would cut prescription prices, put patients and doctors back in charge of our healthcare system, lower health insurance premiums, end surprise billing, cover all pre-existing conditions, protect Social Security and Medicare, protect our veterans, and provide world-class healthcare and services, and oh yes, all will be right in the world. So that was some announcement that has been made here recently. The SEC is planning in October to recommend changes to the advertising and solicitation rules for registered investment advisors. We'll get all kinds of special reports we can provide. 5 things to know about a new 401k plan. 5 groups that aren't thrilled with the Department of Labor's fiduciary rewind, and on and on. So, I mean, it's like I said at the beginning of the show, if you're bored or haven't tuned in anymore, there's things happening to where give us a minute or two, and there'll be some new announcement, either financial, political, economical, social, and so forth. So those things are out there. Now, one thing I will mention, kind of changing gears on you here a little bit, is I know the show is about alternative assets, and we talk about those, ad nauseum, as far as the metals and oil and real estate and private placements and just all kinds of stuff, over the last couple of years. And one of the things that I spend a lot of time day in, day out doing is selling insurance. When we talk about gold and silver being wealth insurance, it's just kind of a addition to what I've been doing for 39 years. And so that's one of the reasons I added it to what we do. But, when it gets right down to it, the insurance part of things is very important, and even more so since we've rolled into this pandemic. So if you don't have life insurance and you've been thinking about life insurance, you need to give us a chat. I actually have one platform where you don't even have to come into the office. You don't have to see me. It is so streamlined. You can basically log on and, plug in your information, your height and your weight and your age and your name, and, presto magic, and you'll come up with some quotes, and then from there you can decide if you want more or less insurance, and then decide if you want to go forward, and within 15 minutes you could have a policy. In fact, right for the moment, you can find that particular website at hammockfinancialgroup.com. So my last name, Hammock, HAMMOCK, financialgroup.com, and when it pops up on your screen, it's going to say Insure Me Now Direct. And so that's, if you go in there and kind of look around, you'll see that there's like 16 different kinds of insurance that you can apply for. And, there's the usual suspects, life insurance and health insurance and, things like that. But they do have some interesting ones in there that I really like, which is there's one that's kind of a legacy care type of program that, excuse me, if you wanted to, get all your stuff in good order, It's basically a vault in the sky, and the encryption is so incredible that the security is fantastic and stuff. But that's in there, and it's very, very affordable and very, very handy. I mean, they've even got that set up to where you can, load in, what you have and where it's at, and even your beneficiaries, and then what info to send to your beneficiaries should something happen to you, God forbid. And then the company actually has a logarithm that, kind of checks all the different media and stuff. And should something happen to you and no one knows about it, it'll figure it out. And it will actually go ahead and, per your request, it doesn't do anything without your directions. It will send information to the people you wanted it sent to, and they'll know that they need to, notify the trustee and all this kind of stuff if you have a trust and so forth. So anyway, it is pretty neat. And excuse me. Pardon me. Now, one thing that I wish I was mentioning more is that some of the companies I work with have some programs that are just really, really neat. I sound like a little kid talking about, Superman or something like that. But some of these programs are really neat. And I'm looking at one here as far as my notes. And just to give you an example of some of the benefits programs like these can provide, I mean, a guaranteed financial protection. So your death benefit protection lasts a lifetime. And that gives you the ability to pass wealth to your loved ones or your favorite charity, federal income tax free. So that's number one. Number two would be significant growth opportunities. You can experience growth potential linked to market performance, enabling you to build a cash resource. And these are all part of the same program. So there's two of the 6. Downside protection. There's no exposure to market losses. You can't lose money. A potential cash resource. You can supplement your retirement income by taking policy loans or withdrawals. And due to the fact that I use the term policy, let me remind you, this would be an insurance product. But you can also control your money. If your needs would ever change, you can get a full return of premium. So if you put, let's say $10,000 in, and 2 years from now something had changed and stuff, you could get $10,000 out. And then last but not least, and maybe the most important in this type of environment, is if you should have a chronic or terminal illness come up, you'd be able to tap into this. And so if you would ever need care, it's easy to qualify and receive a cash benefit that's income tax free. And you can use it for whatever you'd like, even care in the comfort of your home. And by the way, you do not have to, it's not a reimbursable program where you have to get all your receipts and submit them, and then the insurance company says, okay, we bless this, you can get your money. No, this is what they call an indemnity type program. So once you get to the point where you can't do 2 of the 6 activities of daily living, and those would be, just to kind of give a quick definition: bathing, eating, dressing, toileting, maintaining continence, and getting in and out of a chair or bed. And once you can't do 2 of those 6 activities of daily living, you could trigger this particular benefit. And what this would be called in its macro classification is a single premium universal life insurance policy. And I love these products, especially for folks that are 50 and older. Just did one here recently, back on the 21st of August. Got a couple more in the works that we're working on here that will probably go in place and be issued in the first 2 weeks of September. But just to give you an example of some of the things that can happen good, besides those 6 main features and benefits, I've got a little promotion here from one of the companies that we represent. It says, how do you turn $50,000 into $102,291? Question mark. And that's in less than 30 minutes. And so just once again, how do you turn 50,000 into 102,291 in less than 30 minutes? And part of that is, it's a little a little play on words and so forth. Obviously, they're talking about one of these single premium universal life policies. And that particular one, what they're referring to, just so there's no question, it would be a guaranteed death benefit for a female, standard rate, non-tobacco, age 61, that had $50,000 of, they could put in as a single premium. And those rates would have been as of December 31st, 2019. So, all those things are always subject to change and stuff, but I mean, that's the power that these kinds of programs have, as compared to, in this example, having 50,000 set in a bank, and God forbid something happens to you, and your beneficiaries, maybe you get a TOD, transfer on death, they get the 50,000. In this example, you could have provided them with 102,291, and it would have been tax-free. So, information that's kind of handy to know, and if you ever need information on those, as I've said before, if you've got an agent you work with, run this by them and see if they can help you with this. If you don't, give me a shout. Or like one person I'm working with right now, they just simply wanted a second opinion, and we're happy to do that also. We can kind of do a portfolio review and more or less take a temperature, so to speak, and then if everything is, checks out, you can stay where you're at. If it doesn't check out, you're always welcome to make changes and stuff. But anymore in this day and age, we just like to make sure everybody is aware of some of the power you have as far as information and how readily accessible it is. So you're always welcome to reach me at 417-755-0700. If it's property and casualty, you can reach Lauren at 417-225-2011. Anyway, so another thing I thought I'd bring to the show is interest rates, because right now we're working on a rather large policy for a gentleman out in Kansas, and I got to looking the other day as far as what some of these interest rates are, and I found some of the best. And for example, one of the companies that we work with, they have what are called multi-year guaranteed annuities. So basically like a certificate of deposit, but not really. And what I mean by that is they're annuities that pay an interest rate, and the interest rate is guaranteed for multi-years. And they have a 3-year, a 4-year, a 5-year, a 6-year, and a 7-year option. And so just to kind of keep things condensed, because we're running out of time, I'll just give you the rates for, let's say, the 100,000 plus category. But the 3-year is paying 2.4, the 4-year is paying 2.65, the 5-year is paying 2.9, the 6-year is paying 2.9, and the 7-year is paying 2.95. So check your rates wherever you're at. If you can get better, more power to you. But my hunch is that you'll find that the 2.9 in years 5 and 6 and 2.95 in year 7 are pretty darn good. In fact, really, all their rates usually fall in the top categories. And these are issued for people that are from 15 days old to 90 years. And actually, this gentleman out in Kansas, we're looking at one for a person that's 89 years old, and they could still qualify. There is a market value adjustment, which means if you did need your money before the term was up, you could get it, but if interest rates had gone up, the market value could go lower, and if interest rates went down, the market value could go up. And these are competitive guaranteed fixed interest rates. You've got the choice of 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7-year terms, fully tax-deferred growth, and your beneficiaries get the full account value of the death benefit, should you pass, and you get protection of principal with zero market risk. So just a really, really neat alternative to some of the other things that are out there. I mean, I keep running into CD rates and even other annuity rates that are, somewhat low by my standards or other people's standards and stuff. One thing I thought I would do as a new addition to the show, and I I know that you probably get tired of me reading things, so I try to keep that to a minimum. But for those of you that have tuned in now for a number of years, you know that we think very highly of National Gold Consultants up in Minnesota. And we use National Gold Consultants quite a bit. In fact, we just had a gentleman here locally that recently put $5,000 into silver through National Gold Consultants. And the reason being is Ryan Long is the president and CEO, and we had him in town last October. I'm going to talk to him here about getting him back this October because he's just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to metals, and he's been doing this for about 40 years, and I think he's like 42. So, I mean, you know, he's been born and raised in the metals world and stuff like that. But he just came out with a new article, and I'll kind of scan through it until it gets boring. Hopefully it won't get boring, but China, Russia, de-dollarization leads to dollar drop. China and Russia have continued to dump the U.S. dollar in favor of gold, bullion, yuan, and rubles, in essence approaching a financial alliance. This leaves the many questioning the U.S. dollar's future as the world's foremost reserve currency and subsequently the safety of their portfolios and pocketbooks. Both countries have sought to use the dollar less in their trade settlements for several years now, but have redoubled their efforts since the Trump administration tightened sanctions. In 2015, more than 90% of bilateral trade between the two nations was conducted in dollars. So far in 2020, that number has been slashed to 46%. In an attempt to shoulder the strain on the dollar that this and its many other issues would naturally cause, the Federal Reserve has been aggressively buying. Of course, this has created market bubbles so sizable that they would devastate many Americans unless they were corrected in a careful, measured manner. Then COVID-19 hit our country, bringing with it joblessness, homelessness, and massive national and private debt. The pressure it has placed on the economy has removed virtually any wiggle room our government could have had to administer a careful, measured approach to correcting the markets and preserving the dollar. Historically, every world reserve currency has been unseated at some point, so the dollar's days have been numbered since the beginning. And he's got an illustration in here from zerohedge.com. It just basically shows the reserve currency status does not last forever. Before us, Britain. Before that was France. Before that, the Netherlands, Spain, and Portugal. And of course, this little graph, I don't know if you can make heads or tails of it from that distance, but it goes all the way back to 1400. And you know, ours basically started at basically it started in 1944 at Bretton Woods, when all the United Nations kind of got together there as the World War II was winding down and decided to make the dollar the reserve currency. If the U.S. dollar is bound to fall sooner or later, perhaps closer to sooner given COVID-19 and the Russia-China financial alliance, what will that mean for your wealth and financial well-being? The best course of action here is to follow the cue of the global superpowers above. And no, we're not talking about U.S. Both Russia and China have made the move to build their gold reserves to levels not seen in years. Russia's and China's central banks understand the critical role physical gold plays in times of local economic turmoil and major global economic shifts. It is a store of value proven over centuries, standing true through the rise and fall of every nation and empire to date. What Russia and China are counting on physical gold to do for their economy, you can count on it to do for your portfolio. A proper position in gold and silver provides wealth insurance that will protect your financial well-being and guarantee purchasing power regardless of the worth or lack thereof of the bills in your wallet. And of course, call us today if you'd like more information on physical gold and silver and what we call wealth insurance. And Ryan is very, very good at what he does, and I have now a number of clients that have entrusted their hard-earned dollars into gold and silver with them. And so if you need any more information on that, 417-755-0700. I just saw a hand gesture that tells me we've got a minute. So we're going to wind this down and start with some gratitude, which is first for Jim and Pam Whining for allowing us to have this show on a weekly basis. And I know they've been going through a lot lately, so keep them in your prayers. And then, of course, Dr. Paul Collins and some of the things that he's done not only for the show but for, obviously, Acts Ministry. And, you know, there's a lot of good stuff going on here at Acts Ministry. If you don't have a ministry that you support, you might look at some of the ones in here. Matt's dad has one for veterans I would encourage you to take a look at. And of course, you know, we've had shows about tithing, and all of these will gladly accept any tithes that you can send their way. And with that, have a great Wednesday. I know this next week's going to be interesting. Have a safe Labor Day, especially if you get out on the water. And we will see you next week. Thanks so much.